Well, hey, Greg, thanks for sharing a little bit of your day with us here today to talk about the externship program. I know Mewbourne Oil Company was very gracious to share some of the projects, not only over the past several years, but certainly in the Capstone program this year. And as we look forward to the summer externship, participating in that as well. And would love if you just spend just a minute or two just sharing some of your thoughts about what kind of project you had the students evaluate this year.
Well, I appreciate your recognition. We enjoy working with the kids at OU, the students at OU, and it's been a good time. And I'll say that this Capstone project was, I don't know, maybe it was because we got some experience under our belt in previous summers through the externship projects, but I thought that this Capstone project went very well. I think it maybe went the best out of any of them so far. This is about the third or fourth project I think that we've had with the students. This Capstone project, we had them evaluate a Red Fork prospect in Custer County, that's in western Oklahoma. There's an old field called the South Thomas Field that was developed vertically as to the Red Fork several decades ago. And very recently, another operator has drilled some infill horizontal wells. And so the project that we had the students work on really started with a reserve report, some volumetric analysis, and then kind of the final report or the final goal was to evaluate those horizontal wells that were newly drilled, factoring in the cost that they thought to drill and complete the well, the reserves, the production performance of those wells, and then give an economic evaluation. We used all public data for this. Thought it would be a good idea to show the students what's available to them in the public data realm, and show them that often companies like Mewbourne are using public data to evaluate prospects like this, that we don't always have private proprietary information, that a lot of times we're using whatever is available to evaluate another company's or another operator's results to potentially find an analogous area to go develop for ourselves. And so that was one thing I wanted to make sure that the students realized, is that we don't always have this just amazing data set to evaluate for ourselves. A lot of times we're doing what we can to evaluate and then go from there.
Well, it sounds like a great experience, Greg, for the students, not only just in general, like real life project. This is kind of what we do in the real world, but helping them understand the data sources and understand what's available to them and how companies work on a daily basis. And that's fantastic. And certainly sounds like it's of significant value for the students. And, was the work that they produced for you, Greg? We always strive to produce value for those people we're doing projects for. Did they produce something that was valuable for you and your team at Mewbourne?
Yes, they did. And while I can't say that we're going to rush out and maybe make any offers to buy any producing properties or acquire new oil and gas leases today, just because of the current times in the environment. But one thing that the students did that was very valuable was to not only give us an idea for what those producing properties are worth in today's market, but they also supplied us the information of, okay, what are the varying values with future prices at incremental price decks? What are those values going forward, and at what point with certain price decks would we consider going forward to drill a well? At what price point would it be economic? At what price point would it be would it satisfy Mewbourne Oil Company's internal hurdles based on a type curve that they generated. So it was valuable to have somebody else looking at an overall project and running some sensitivity type scenarios based on the what if, what our future price is going to be like and what would those values be.
Well, that's great to hear. Like I said, we always want to provide something that's of value to the people that we're working with, and so that's wonderful. And we also recognize the challenging G&A or cost structure that we're watching every penny and dime that we can. And OU is certainly in that mode. And I know every oil and gas company is in the same mode. And we're all very conscious not only our time of our dollars, but also of our time. And certainly we want to value that. And so how much of your time on a weekly or daily basis, Greg, did this project really take?
The upfront time, the prep time is what I'll say, is I had one reservoir engineer and I had one geologist spend about a day, somewhere between about a day and 2 days of just prep work, prepping an Aries database to share with the students, generating a base map with a handful of cross sections to give to the students for all those kind of volumetric evaluations and things like that. I'd say that was about 1 to 2 days per employee. And then my own time from that point forward, I want to say that we had maybe 4 different in-person meetings. Maybe it wasn't 4, maybe it was 3. But I would say myself and the other reservoir engineer drove to Norman. We're here in Oklahoma City, so it's convenient for us. But we probably took around 4 hours each time we did that. So it was about a half a day. But it was a total of 3 or 4 trips, and it was every other week. So in the grand scheme of things, maybe it was a total of 2 days of my time. And then, of course, we had a couple of Zoom meetings, and that was like I said, that was my introduction to Zoom was through the OU students. So really, I would say there's probably an equal amount of time spent just prepping as opposed to after the prep work was done. The routine check-ins were really just my opinion and my feedback for how they were presenting to me, giving feedback as far as, why don't you tweak this graph one way or the other, or you need to focus on this instead of that. And it was very minimal once we got the prep work done.
So it sounds like really there was some upfront data, manipulation and gathering. And then from there on, it was really just insightful kind of mentoring type feedback around, these are things that, you might want to be looking at or tweaking, just like you would do with a regular employee. So it sounds like you were really able to have a great experience, not only exposing the students to industry knowledge and projects, but also how to work as a professional and how to really polish their skills in that way. So thanks, Greg, for sharing that. It really sounds like it was a positive experience. Would you recommend, that other folks in your situation, you were either operators or interest owners, mineral owners, would you recommend to them to sponsor a project for the students at OU? And if so, why would you say they should do so?
I'd say, yes, I absolutely recommend it. And I recommend it for 2 reasons. Number 1 is what I learned from them. And number 2 is what I hope they learned from me. And to start, first with what I learned from the students, this was my first ever introduction to Zoom. So there was a little bit of technology that I picked up from the OU students, and I thought that was very beneficial. I was surprised to learn how advanced the students are regarding the economic evaluation of newly drilled horizontal wells. Without my asking, they were preparing some very detailed graphs for presentation regarding things like discounted ROI versus a varying price deck. They were studying diminishing returns relative to lateral length drilled. They were doing some risk analysis relative to existing depletion and well spacing. These were all things that they were not prompted to do, that they came up with. And I was very surprised to learn that they were on that level without me having to push them there. They were more advanced than I anticipated. Second, from what I hope they learned from me, is I hope that through our interaction, I contributed helping the students make that transition from a textbook to a real world scenario. You know, there were several learning opportunities for the students during the project, and I believe that we as an industry owe it to them to help make that transition from books to real world. We owe them that. And one thing that I've determined, that I am certain of, is the only outcome from more industry involvement at the university level is a better graduate. You know, when those students come out of school and they know what's expected and they know how to transition from textbooks to real world scenarios, you know, that's where we come in and that's how we contribute. And I just hope that the industry can come together and step up and get more contribution at that level, because the end result is a better employee right out of the gate. So those are my two reasons why people should be more involved in this program.
That's fantastic, Greg. Thanks for that. And thanks for laying down the gauntlet to challenge some of the other companies out there to participate and really get that same experience that you had. So the students had a valuable opportunity to learn from you and from your team, not only about life, but about industry, about presentation skills. And, you know, these are the kinds of things that the Irani Center for Energy Solution wants to be engaged in, is really live at that intersection between academia and industry and be that bridge for our students and for industry, back and forth from industry to research at the university, and for our students, how they launch their careers into industry. So Greg, thank you again for your partnership with the University of Oklahoma, sponsoring projects for our students in the Capstone program and externship, and just for your overall engagement. We really appreciate it. Any last things that you'd like to share with the students today?
You know, one thing I thought of while we were talking was the level of professionalism that the students had from day one. They didn't, that initial meeting, they didn't come ill prepared. They didn't act like college students from day one. You know, that very first meeting right out of the gate was a professional presentation, and it was that way every time we met. There was never a lack of professionalism. And I think that you guys are doing a great job communicating that that's how they need to be to those students. I don't think that comes without proper coaching, is what some people might say. So you guys are doing a great job having the students buttoned up and ready to go.
Well, thanks for that, Greg. And I'll be sure to pass along your words to the students and the faculty. And once again, we really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you soon.
You too, David. Thank you.